Errands?
Yes. Yeah, we're live.
We are?
Yes.
Oh, good to know.
We're here already. I said here goes nothing.
I was wondering.
Oops. Oh, canter there. Okay. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
It's Guitar Talk from Gary's Guitars. Where our camera isn't close enough. There we go. This is Gary. I'm Mark. We're going to talk about guitars, guitar repair, anything to do with guitars. What else? If you have any questions or comments, put in the comments, and we'll address them as they come along. Still not. Because you're leaning on the counter again. We're not squared up here.
Move it back a little bit.
You got to move forward, if anything.
No, right, that mirror.
Oh, it's bugging me. Hold on, folks. Sorry.
Every time one of us moves.
Not a very professional situation here.
No, well, that won't help much.
Turn off the light. Okay, so thanks for sticking with us because that was something. Put any questions and comments in the chat. I'll be monitoring the chat here on this little iPad, and we will talk about anything you want to talk about.
Well, within reason.
About guitars and
Yeah.
guitars, things to do with guitars, yeah. Guitar repair. So we ask people out there just to chime in into the chat and say hi. That way we know there's people out there and we know who's out there, and it just seems a little less lonely.
Is anybody out there?
Is anybody? Yes, we got some usuals. We got Chris Lammy, J.K. Drubbis, I guess. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, but William Morgan's a usual. Paul's a usual. Barry's a usual. Barry from the Bay Area, Barry. So that's cool. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll let some more people pile in, and then we'll start talking about incredibly interesting things. But for now, we'll just talk about what's going on. Any interesting stuff come across the bench?
I guess so.
Yeah.
It's I'm not sure I've ever seen this before. I brought in his Epiphone.
Oh yeah.
Custom Pro. No, that's the other one. Epiphone semi-hollow. I forget which model.
Mm-hmm.
With P90s. And wanted new pots and a jack. Yeah, kind of a pain to do, but doable.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
So did it. Wired the pots in with the same wiring coding and stuff as it was. And got it all strung up, and along the way I'm making sure the pickups are working and everything's fine. Tune it up, plug it in. It's out of phase. How can that be? Each pickup by itself is fine, but in the middle they're out of phase. So I loosened the pot and I moved it a little and it was in phase. I moved it another way, it was out of phase. So what the hell? So maybe I switched two wires. So I pulled the two volume pots out to check. It's the way it was. I got it right.
And this is on a semi-hollow body Epiphone, so it is no fun.
Yeah, this is partly through the F-hole and partly through the pickup hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a 3.5 hour job practically. It reminded me there was a PV. I think the T60. When you turn the volume control down a titch, it put the pickups out of phase. This was like the opposite. You turn a volume control down, they went in phase on full blast. They were out of phase. What the hell? So I went to the internet and anybody, what's this? Somebody had the same problem with a set of Duncans. You put two new Duncans in on 10, they're out of phase. Turn one down, they're in phase. How can that be? He returned the pickups. Duncan sent him a new pair, same pickups, and it worked fine. And they told him somehow they had mismatched north and south windings on one of them, and it was supposed to...
So that they're completely in, they would get but just a little out, then it wouldn't.
Yeah, so just turning one down a titch, they're back in phase. I'm still not sure how that works. I mean, to me, they're either in phase or out of phase.
Yeah.
Changing this.
Well, once you phase, okay, so if you think about a wave, if they phase each other out, they're just so think of a sound wave,
right,
and think of another wave that crosses it. So two sound waves.
Yeah.
Wherever they cross, they phase cancel each other out.
Right.
If the waves are identical,
then they're out of phase.
Then they're just completely out. Once you move one a little,
right,
then it's not completely out of phase. It's just kind of. So if something phases out completely, it's just gone. You can't even hear it.
Right.
So even when two pickups are out of phase, or you got a humbucker with a phase reverse, it's never going to be perfectly out of phase because they're next to each other. So they don't hear exactly the same thing. They just hear mostly. The only thing they share completely is the hum.
Yeah, they lose all their bass.
Yeah,
but
they lose a lot of the bass because bass waves are longer than high frequency waves are shorter. They're less likely to clash.
Right.
So it makes the physics side of things. It makes sense. But what was the solution?
None that I know of. I called the customer. I don't know if you know this, but your pickups are out of phase unless you turn the volume down. Then they're fine. It's not a bad feature. You want out of phase? Just put it.
Put it in. Put it in 9.5. Yeah,
there you go.
It's a feature, not a flaw.
Right. But I don't think I've ever seen that except in the PV, and I looked that up, and they used the dual gang pot to do it. So as you turned it, it did actually change the phasing.
Yeah.
So.
Someone said I just spent 3.5 hours fixing my truck. So that's that's a little harder than spending 3.5 hours on a guitar. Especially, I don't know where you are, but if the weather's cold outside, that's the worst. Working on a truck outside.
What was it? Skip told me once the worst thing he ever had to do in his life was drain his brake fluid when it was 10 degrees.
Or I think the stories of like changing the starter.
Bleed his brakes. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh yeah, especially if the fluid doesn't want to move at 10 degrees too. Like if you're changing the starter on it. Well, no, we're talking about cars. This car's on. Just 3 bolts to hold on and plug. That's easy. But if it's cold outside, that would take forever.
Right.
It's like and you hit your knuckles and you should be bleeding, but the blood won't come to the surface of your skin, so it's just scraped up skin. Yeah. Okay. So things are always in Lee. So yes, hopefully you're inside.
Right. Got a garage.
Yeah. If not, then Jimmy from Ohio says hi. Roger, Brandon. So a bunch of regulars out there. Thanks for stopping by.
And we can go on to the next job.
The next Epiphone.
I just scoped out.
Yeah.
Guy Bryant, could you just I got a pickup's not connected. You just connect it.
Yeah.
Sure, no problem. So I got the other one done. I got about half an hour, plenty of time.
Yeah.
Flip it over, take the cover plate. Oh, it's one of those Gibson Epiphones with all the plugs and the circuit board. The plug is broken. So where do the wires go?
Yeah.
So a little research online, and I found it. Unfortunately, they were chopped short. They broke off, and he cut it. I don't know. So I did figure that one out. I ran out of time.
Yeah, just haven't been able to do it.
But I wanted to. I can't count how many times in the past 10 years I've taken all that crap out of Gibsons and Epiphones.
Yeah.
Give me solder. Give me pots, solder,
point
wire.
To point.
No plugs, no PC boards.
I suppose it must be marginally cheaper. It must save them like an hour of labor or something, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure it's the assemblies, that once the pickup is
drop it in,
the plug on it, you just don't have to solder 5 wires.
But you can't be saving that much money compared to the hell it is.
Well, that's another.
But they're not made to be. They're like Mercedes. They're not made to be fixed. They're
just
made to be.
Well, there's a little growing list of things that you're not supposed to fix.
Yeah, and Gibsons.
Just get another pickup with the plug on it, and then you plug it in.
Yeah, you got to buy the Gibson pickup, and then it fits. Right. Yeah, if not, don't buy a non-Gibson pickup, or life's going to be hard for you.
Right. That was my exciting day at the workbench.
Okay. Pull it apart, wire it old school. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Sometimes we do that. Sometimes we just take out all this crap, put in regular old pots and wires, and that's
I've seen a few of the wire just came out of the plug.
Yeah, it's tension fit inside there.
If you just
there's a special little
so if you just push it in, it'll click.
No, you got to compress the thing for there's a little spot on the backside. You compress that, then you push the wire in, then you let that go, and it should tension hold it in. Which tension fit is also not a good strategy for guitar.
No.
Or
most anything.
Most anything, yeah.
Screw, solder, weld, anything, glue,
raise, glue, yeah,
something. This tension doesn't last forever.
No, there's that. Plus, it can be disrupted too easily. It can get yanked out.
Right.
That's I think no fun. Get the Stonewall pickups. Yeah, I guess they don't have a connector on them either. We know how to wire them up, but it's not the pickup side. It's the weird Gibson connector side. That's
the white plug that plugs into the PC.
So we got to go to a schematic, find out where each one should go,
Right.
then cross-reference color codes.
Yeah, that's where I got to. Okay, here's the output. Here's the input. Here's ground. Here's where the coil cut switch is. If I just solder the wires right to the PC board, and it'll work.
Yeah, but you also made a good point about, and this is true, about things are more difficult to find. Information is more difficult to find on the internet now.
Yeah, that was.
So it used to be, and being Generation X, we kind of invented the internet in that we tried to find a use for it, and our use was writing information and putting it on the internet, blogs,
sharing,
sharing information,
stuff.
and it wasn't necessarily advertising things, and
right.
But all those sites that have been built up over the years of like, I know about the, so I would just post schematics of things I owned that were hard, like my Neotech mixing console.
Yeah.
I got Neotech schematics. No one else does. I'll just post them on the internet and anyone can go download them.
Right.
And now you can't find stuff like that.
It's hard.
It's all about advertising and marketing. It's making the internet harder to use.
Yes. I've spent the last maybe 2 weeks now. I've been working on a decent sized collection of old parts that I figured, well, let's get them together, see what's out there, see if there's any need for them, whatever.
Yeah.
Some of them I don't remember what they came off of.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a bridge saddle or it's a control plate cover, but I don't remember what guitar it's from.
Yeah.
So I have this. This is the best example. I have a brass. Pretty sure it's a Gibson SG control plate cover, control cavity cover.
Yeah, right.
And I know Les Pauls had Gibson control plate covers in the 70s during the brass age. So I figured, I'll just see what year they did this. Type in, when did Gibson SGs have a control cavity brass cover? You get page after page of Gibson SG covers for sale.
Yeah.
And some brass Les Paul covers for sale, and almost nobody going, oh yeah, they did that in 78. That was the only year.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, I was on the internet every day researching old guitars and parts and rare stuff and weird stuff. And
bookmarking stuff. There is a website that was so useful to me and so archaic, so GeoCities. And if you're old enough to remember GeoCities, I just assumed that it would disappear, and so I printed it.
Oh.
I printed about 20 pages off this website because all the information is so important to me.
Right.
And if it was to suddenly disappear one day, I need to physically have this information. I have it on one of those clipboards over there. So, because if you Google things now, so someone else mentioned that, yes, they also notice it's hard to find things. Different search engines will get you different results. Right. And there's this whole thing about AI search engines are going to make everything easier. Well, who knows? They're going to make it better or worse.
Well, I remember about a week ago, I came in and asked if my old bookmarks were still on the computer. Because there was my favorite site. It's called Guitar HQ. If you ever want to research almost anything about guitars, at least the major brands, he has in-depth information. And I found it and went home and it's still there, good, and I found a few things. And then I noticed after searching just regular on Google or Safari or whatever, that I'm asking questions that I bet this guy has the answer to on his website, but it never pops up.
Oh yeah, right, yeah, exactly.
I used to do a search for how do you tell a 59 Les Paul switch tip?
And it bring you to that. That guy.
It's got the little thing on the bottom. But now it's like he's gone, but he's not gone. It's because there's so many millions of things for sale.
And it's and that's advertising wise too. That that direct people toward things for sale.
I know two people that work at Google. Maybe I'll have to complain to them.
Yeah, they'll fix it for you.
Yeah, come on.
They're like, we'll forego the $100 billion a year in revenues.
Well, what I noticed,
make it easier to use.
At the top when you do a search, there's all images, shopping.
I
said, there must be an info.
Oh, that would be good. Yeah.
And I don't want to know how much they cost.
Just text.
But it's not there.
I want the 19.
Nothing for sale. Just whatever information you got.
All right, Brandon asked. We got a question from the audience.
Okay.
Here. Brandon asked or it's mostly for me though, but for gig recording, what ideal timing, in your opinion, for a fresh set of strings? I suppose it takes a day to stretch, multiple tunings, some play in.
3 days used to be the rule of thumb.
You think 3 days? So a lot of people used to change their strings before every show, right? That used to be a thing.
What's his face from King Crimson? Fripp.
Robert Fripp, yeah.
Ever tell you that story?
No.
Hank Deccan in a recording studio in New York, and comes out to take a break. There's a guy sitting in the hallway restringing a guitar, whatever. This happens 3 or 4 times during the day. Every time I come out, this guy's sitting there restringing the same guitar. I said, what? He said, oh, this is Robert Fripp's guitar. He wants new strings after every take. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's
so he lived with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Or they didn't go out of tune before he needed a new set.
Yes. So the going out of tune thing depends on stretching, but also depends on how well you seat the string, where it's going to. It can go, so I like to do it like no more. I say a day. After a day, your strings are kind of. Don't change your bass strings. It's bad luck.
Right.
Yeah. Just leave them on there until they don't play in tune or they just do disgusting. But you put a set of bright bass strings on it. Someone actually asked me, this was a big thing, like change your strings the day before you go in the studio. And I went in the Big Sound, right, with Joe Bryan, the engineer.
Yeah.
And someone asked, and it was Michael. I was going in with my friend Michael, and he's like, "Did you change your strings last night?" And I'm like, "Hell no, I don't change my bass strings. That's crazy." He's like, I don't know, man.
I'm not going to get a good sing.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Sorry about that, folks.
Well, I happened to overhear Peter talking to a customer the other day about this, and Peter said, "You pull it 3 times, tune it up, give them a good pull, tune it up." Do that 3 times, and they're pretty much done.
Well, that's what I do. Yep. Because the first time it'll go out a whole step, the second time it'll go out a half step, and the third time it'll just barely go out.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my. Let's check in.
I bet it depends on the strings too. I bet some strings stretch quicker than others. I bet.
My new made in Mexico Fender that I bought has a lot of fret buzz. I think I need a setup. Yeah, probably. If it's new, especially, the fret should be all right.
Most of the time when somebody brings in a guitar with fret buzz, it needs a neck adjustment.
Yeah, it's just a neck adjustment, especially this season. He's in California, so I don't know how their humidity goes. I assume it was,
doesn't go that much.
No. But next can back bow, and that'll make every fret. You make it buzz on every fret if your neck back bow isn't up.
Right.
So that's just hopefully a basic setup thing. I've had the same bass strings since 1992. Is that Mike Endicott? No, that's Jimmy. So yeah, I'd go 5 years with the same set of bass strings.
Yeah, I used to do 1 to 2,
7, maybe.
But
after 5, they stop intonating well. They'll actually get damaged.
I used to break them. That was the problem.
Oh yeah.
I was with a pretty loud rock band, playing with a pick sometimes.
Yeah. Snapping
and popping them a bit. Yeah, I bet I broke a string on stage every couple of months.
Oh yeah, huh? Wow.
It was the night I broke the low E string.
Oh, that's no fun.
The world stopped. The band kept going.
Yeah,
but the whole dance floor froze. What happened?
What just happened?
What's wrong?
You're playing up an octave. Yeah.
I had to retune, so it was 20 seconds before I was.
You had to tune your A string back to E, down to E.
No, I just went up an octave. But throwing the low E breaks, everything goes out of tune.
Everything goes out of tune, but you had to play up an octave for the rest of the song.
Yeah, but that was close enough.
That was, I don't know.
Take the bass and the bass part out. They didn't know how to dance anymore.
Yeah. So one day I was playing a gig at the Coat of Arms, and Brian Coleman broke a string, and I was like, well, no one had a string, but Coat of Arms is not far from here, so I had to key to the store, and I was like, okay. I ran down the store, and it was like that scene from Pulp Fiction, where he's going back to kill the guy who's torturing them. When who was his name? Bruce Willis's character,
Right.
And Butch, and he goes up and he's looking for the weapon. And so I run in here and I look at the wall of bases, and I just find this like really cool, crappy Japanese 50s bass. I grabbed it.
So you didn't even get the string.
No, I just grabbed the whole bass and went back, and Brian played the rest of the gig on that bass.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, it took me 10 minutes, so it worked out.
Right.
Good morning from Melbourne, Australia.
Good morning.
Enjoy the chat. Thanks, Brian.
That's right. 6:30. He's up
Yeah.
early.
Is it? You know what time it is in Melbourne?
Well, I know in Manila, where my brother-in-law
Oh, that's
is,
right. Yeah, it's about that,
12 hours. So I bet.
Yeah. So our
Australia's
international
about the same.
listeners, tell us what time it is, AM or PM, where you are, because that's interesting. Because we do have some UK people. We got some Australians and New Zealanders who come, mostly English-speaking countries around the world. But
Having breakfast with us
Brian's 10:22 a.m.
in Australia.
in Melbourne. Yeah.
Wow. So they're only 8 hours difference. Huh?
No,
No,
AM.
AM.
They're the other way around. They're 12, 13, 14. Yeah.
Okay.
It's tomorrow.
Well, I was close.
Yeah. So tell us what tomorrow's like.
Oh, the Dateline. I always forget
Yeah.
about the Dateline.
He's in tomorrow. He's the man of tomorrow. In the UK, JJ UK, I think he's in London. Where are you? Where in the UK are you are? It's 23:23. So
he's only like 4 hours.
no, they're ahead of us by 6. Yeah.
No, not UK. Germany's
5.
6. 23 is 11:30. It's 12:30 in Germany.
So it's nearly
It's 5 hours.
5 hours difference, I guess.
You ever
so.
seen the time zones in Europe?
I thought it was 6 though, huh? That's what. Yeah, they're all but
No straight
GMT.
lines.
That's England. At least they, by turning the world into their colonies, they at least got to number the time beginning with themselves. That was with a few knock-on advantages. And London, yes, sunny London. No, sunny in Melbourne. Yeah.
What did I just read a quote from Ringo? Yeah, me and George, or me and Paul, we'll go out in the sunshine. One of the 3 days we had sunshine in London.
Yeah, I like London quite a bit. Actually, I wish I didn't like it as much. I kind of wanted to not like it, and I just always liked it. Been there a few times. It's always just fine.
Yeah.
And now that the pound was plummeted, it'd be a good time to visit. So
Worst
let us know
fish
if we can
and
come
chips I ever had was in London.
Wasn't. All right, let's have the fish and chips talk. So yeah, you go to England. You think you're going to have a good fish and chip. Where did you get the fish and chip?
The Sherlock Holmes Museum restaurant.
Oh, okay. So
there
at
you
least
go.
already it was a tourist.
19th century.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes fish and chips. It's got to be good.
It was already a tourist trap.
I think the fish was about this thick.
Was it even cod?
I don't know. If you could hardly taste it. It was all batter. The chips
Yeah.
were fine, but the fish was.
So everyone, JJ, tell us where the best place to have a fish and chip. So I was in London several times a few years ago when we were on that little tour. We started and ended in London. And everywhere I went, I've got fish and chips because I really wanted to find the best fish and chips. You'd think it would be on the coast. And I think probably the best one I had was down on the South Coast. But I had a couple in London. And, but yeah, tell us where the best fish and chip is. The best fish and chip I've ever had in my life was in St. John's, Newfoundland.
They got a lot of fish up there.
They got cod like you wouldn't believe. Yeah. That thing was swimming earlier that morning. And I also don't have the country on the postage stamps since they invented them. Oh, okay. He's talking about the advantage of being Britain. Yeah. And that's why, and on our phone system, that's why 1 is the country code for the United States, I think, because we started international calling or something. Right. United States is 1.
We got 1.
Worthing opposite the pier. Okay.
Worthing. Okay.
Yeah.
I might be in London again.
South Coast.
That could happen.
Yeah, I was on the South Coast. I was down in Folklore. Is that the town? And played a gig down there. A nice little club.
The town's called Folklore?
I think it is. Or is that the name of the club?
Used to be a folklore center or something in New York.
Right down the coast. You can see France off the side, on the other side of the Folkestone. Sorry, Folkestone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. And cool little club that allowed Londoners to come down and play because they, we were under an exception to, they're very well. We won't get too talking about inter-county grievances in England. All right. Any other questions? Any other guitar-related questions here?
Yeah, we're getting off topic.
I'm getting way off topic. So let's introduce this new topic, which is
the guitar, the Martin Challenge.
The Martin Challenge. We're going to take one of the greatest. This is why when people ask me, don't show them the front. When people ask me why I don't do demos on YouTube videos, It's because everything sounds the same on YouTube. So to prove this, we have a 1969 Martin D18 in fabulous condition. That's had its neck reset, had all of its work done. It's absolutely beautiful. A few dings, all one owner, right?
Yeah.
This is a great guitar. This is another Martin. However, this is one of the best Martins ever made. This is one of the worst Martins ever made. It has a picture of Chris Martin the First right there. It has some Martin, has the Martin factory. It is made out of plastic.
It might be
Some kind of composite material.
It's really thin.
Yeah, and it's not quite plastic. It might be that kind of they can take plastic and put carbon fiber in it and just make it sturdier.
I would say the body is not wood.
The body is not wood. Are the braces wood?
Braces are wood.
Braces are wood. The body is not wood.
wood.
The neck is composite. It's a laminate.
It might be Richlight or something like that.
I don't even know that. It's a little too hard for that. But the big challenge here is, and do you have a pick on you?
No.
I don't either. So we're going to finger style them?
Yeah.
So this is...
Listen to that volume. Sounds better from here.
From here, it sounds a lot better.
Low end.
Which chord are you playing?
G. A.
Does it sound 10 times better?
No, but maybe 5.
Yeah. So let's know if you hear a Formica, according to Margaret, is the material it's made out of. Yeah.
I remember when there used to be a Martin dealer in the area, Acoustic Outfitters.
Yeah.
This was when this guitar first came out. It was a real guitar. It was like a D28 with this top.
Oh yeah.
And I remember the owner complaining to me. Martin wouldn't let him continue to be a Martin dealer unless he bought one.
Oh yeah, right.
And they were like, dealer cost was like $3,000. I guess Martin got a lot of flack on that one.
Yeah.
But he got it, and I don't know, he must have sold it. So recently, I guess they've come out with the cheap.
This is 15 years old as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, a little while ago, they came out with the cheap version of it. So it is different.
They had a variety of photo, fronts on these. This is dye sublimated. And they had the Felix the Cat one we've seen recently as well.
It's got Latin on it. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Do you do Latin?
No, non multa sed.
Hold it up, see if anybody knows Latin.
Down here. Some Martin motto. Roger says, sound comparison YouTube suck. Well, that was do buy that guitar because we're selling it here at Gary's Guitars.
Oh, all
right. So, yeah. No, so he says sound comparison on YouTube sucked. To be honest, thanks for trying. That was my point. That if you're listening on a camera through a phone on you can't there's no real use in hearing that sound and doing a
right.
So that sounds like a Martin, just a quieter Martin.
The modern Martin. It's still got the boomy bass.
So the good thing about that is it's $3.99. It's collectible. People are selling them for more than that on the internet, and it comes with a Martin case, which is worth $150 anyways.
Oh, a hard shell case.
Yeah. Oh. So buy a case and get a guitar.
Hang it on the wall. Don't play it.
Or someone play the heck out of that. You can tell by the fingerboard oil seepage.
Oh.
So you can just everywhere he used to play on the neck, you can see it darkened.
Yeah.
So someone did play that quite a bit. The previous owner had it. He probably bought it from Acoustic Outfitters.
Could be.
That's the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
So we saw a Felix the Cat one again recently.
Oh yeah, the Felix the Cat Martin,
which a customer of ours bought from a guy in France and paid $800.
No, he paid $440. I'd never seen one. I told him that, and he said, "Well, there were 4 different models, all Felix the Cat with different scenes or paintings, and they made 750 of each, and they're all going for at least $800 now. So I figured this was a deal." And he brought it in for me to check out, make sure it was playable and string it up and stuff. It was fine. It's not a great guitar. It's kind of a toy, but Felix the cat's cool.
Yeah, it was a small body too.
So
that kind of.
he was happy.
Yeah.
I'll hang on to it for a few years and sell it for $1,000.
Maybe. I mean, they
Maybe.
made it limited edition things, and it does.
2000,
Most importantly, it says Martin on it. It has
2007.
Chris Martin himself looking at you like with scorn, watching you play. That kind of scornful look on his face. So that's the weirdest guitar of the month that's come through, I'd say. That's the category, fits the category. But yes, we did take it in trade, so we are selling it. So let us know if you're looking for one, or if you want to buy it and try and resell it on Reverb or eBay. Because let me tell you, people are asking $5.99 more for those things. Yeah, I'm selling it for, because we took it on trade. We didn't take it for a lot, and that's what it's worth. $400 is worth that. $399 with a case, that's a good deal. I wouldn't sell it for $600.
It's a piece of art.
It's art, yeah. Hang it on your wall. It's art. Moving along, yeah, exactly that too. And this is something that you could probably comment on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's this kind of like antique store mentality of like, I mean, I say, I think I told someone that there's nothing in this store that was here 2 years ago, probably, right?
Well, maybe. That one up there has been here for a long time.
Which one?
The black one.
The black silver tone?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was still pandemic time. So pre-pandemic to now, I think. Anyways, the point is, we don't. It's not like a lot of people just have something and they're like, "This is worth a lot of money. I'm going to wait till I can sell it," and they just sit on piles of stuff.
Right.
And you go into an antique store and it's just full of stuff that's slightly outrageous prices. You look for the one thing that's not outrageous, the one thing they mispriced, and you buy that thing.
Right.
And so a lot of guitar stores are kind of like that. So I think you should, we kind of price things to sell.
Right.
Because
you remember Tillett's Great Line? Jerry Tillett, a friend of ours, used to be a pawn shop nearby.
Yeah.
He was in there poking around, and they had I forget what it was, some inexpensive electric on the wall used for $179.
Yeah.
And he walked up to the guy and he said, "Oh, I just thought you should know that Gary's Guitars around the corner there. Yeah. They sell this guitar brand new for $159."
Yeah.
The guy was not phased. Said,
yeah.
Well, I'm glad to see at least one person walks in here has a brain.
Yeah,
they're pretty.
Yeah, that's the pawn shop. Yeah, pawn shops didn't used to be like that either. Pawn shops were about selling stuff to get your money back.
Right.
Gil's pawn shop was such a great pawn shop because you could get stuff cheap in there.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. He just wants his money back.
Yeah.
He loaned someone money. They didn't pay him. He wants his money back.
Yeah. So. He tried to double his money. If he paid $50 for it, you try to get 100. But if you got 75, close enough.
Yeah. Just get the stuff out of here. Yeah.
But to your point, what I haven't heard in a while, but it was really common for years, 10 years ago, maybe a bit more. People come in. I hear old guitars are worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, some of them are.
Yeah, some of them are.
Look at what I got. They pull out a broken down Silvertone Harmony from the 50s or 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's really old, but it's it's broken. It's unplayable.
It's a $600 guitar that needs $700 worth of work. So essentially, you could give us this guitar in $100.
No. I saw online old guitars are worth thousands of dollars. Well,
that was Antiques Roadshow did that a little bit, but yeah. And Martin's. Remember, someone's like, "Hey, I got a Martin I want to sell." What was that one? The one's all cracked up.
Just recent? No.
Yeah. She decided to keep it. Yeah. She was like, "Oh, I heard Martin sell for a lot of money, so I'll bring it in." And she brought it in. It's like, yeah, they do sell for a lot of money, but not this one.
Yeah, it needed what was it? D28
neck reset, the usual
70s, I think. Yeah,
neck reset, bridge reset, maybe.
Yeah, I told her
cracks
it needs $1,000.
Yeah,
you'll get your money back. It'll sell for $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah,
but you got to spend $1,000. No, that was my mother's, and
I should decide to keep it. Yeah,
I'll just keep it if you could shine it up and put strings on it. So.
Margaret said, "I worked for a guy, and he would yell out, 'It's not a museum. Everything's for sale.'" Yeah, okay. Move it along. Although on that note, JJ asked, "How much is the D18?" The D18 is priced accordingly. This one here.
Are you still there? Oh,
yeah. Because
that's a guilt.
For two reasons. This is a consignment. So when we do consignments, we want to get the customer, a good price. We want to sell it, but also we want to make sure we're fair with the customer, the owner of the instrument.
Right.
So this one's at market price at $39.99, $3,999. It's from '69. It's in great condition. Every Martin, if your '60s Martin did not have a neck reset yet, it needs one.
Probably.
So it's just they all need it. And this one had it, and also
And
sometimes
you'd never know it happened.
yeah, it did a very good job. It could have been factory the way it's done so well.
Our current luthier,
Refretted.
Peter, he has the same philosophy that our old luthier, Chris, used to have, which is if you can see I worked on your guitar, I failed.
Yeah. Yeah. So not cheap, that one. But because we're trying to get some value for the client who is our, the owner of the guitar. And so consignments don't necessarily fit that. The body looks deeper than the current model. I don't think so. That might be an optical illusion. It's a fisheye camera. So I think it's a standard
I
dreadnought.
think I told you about a week ago, this guy came in
Yeah.
about something else. He said, I see my D18 still here. I'll take $500 less.
Okay. Well,
So, okay.
Don't tell the internet.
We're not going to advertise it.
But yeah, it's good to it's
Somebody
good when you
offers us less, we'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's when I get tempted. It's like,
ooh, can I? Maybe I should buy this.
less, and then I can buy it and then
Right.
put it away, which is not good. Because the drug dealer's motto, folks, is don't get high on your own supply. So do not. I can't buy guitars that I sell because I'll just buy all the guitars.
Mhm.
I have enough.
It's
As it
tempting to
is.
take all the good ones home.
Including the 1970 Gibson. We talked about this on the YouTube. That 1970, that's got me thinking that could be an investment guitar, man. They're not making any more of those.
I don't even like Rickenbackers, but that 365, that would be fun to have.
Yeah.
Just to show anybody would go, oh my God, that's a beautiful guitar.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's in amazing condition for its age. It's only going to go up in value.
Right.
And then, guitar values go up and down, but there's a general upward, up and to the right.
Right.
Thing on certain guitars. I mean, some markets heat up a little too much and then they cool off, but I don't know if we had this. Well, I guess I might mention it. It's time to do the halfway through, although we're more than halfway through. This is Guitar Talk. If you're just joining us, we're talking about anything you want about guitars, and leave questions and comments in the chat, and we'll get to them. So a question about anything, not necessarily what we're talking about. And hit the like and subscribe button and all that too, because it's YouTube and that stuff's important. And I want my $54 from Google this month. So,
did I tell you about the 1942? I think it was 0018 that came in. He wanted to get it fixed. He just bought it for $4,400, and it was the most destroyed guitar. That was still in one piece.
Yeah,
that I've ever seen. It's hard to even describe it. Somebody took the strings off, and the tuners, and the bridge pins, and painted the entire thing with 8 or 10 coats of clear gloss with no buffing or sanding.
Just brushed it on.
Fretboard, bridge, saddle. Just I don't know. I guess they were trying to make it look good. I don't know what kind of paint it was, but it was awful. And on top of that, it needed all the usual neck reset. Well, what do you think? Can you fix this? I said, well, you paid $4,400 for this? I mean, this is junk. I mean, it would be thousands of dollars to maybe restore it.
Yeah.
But all that paint, I don't
You
know.
have to strip it.
Have to strip it, refinish it. Anyways, I convinced them to just, if you can get your money back, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So a few days later, Peter's here, blah, 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 blah. I tell him that story. He goes, oh, you should have called me. I said, what? I said, a 42 0018 just sold for $80,000. We could have restored that. Get 40 grand for it.
Wow.
What? 80 grand for 0018?
Okay.
Okay. I'm not on top of the market, I guess.
Yeah.
So You never know.
That's funny. Whoa. Hey, Gary, this is the one time I get to see you anymore. That's from Slammer Band 2009. Every time I visit you, you're not there. So I don't know. Well, maybe he knows when you're coming. Who is that? We from your ID, we don't know who you are. So tell us what your name is.
Slammer Band 2007?
2009. That's it. So yeah, let us know who that is.
Is it
Plus,
John Ayers? He's
no, that's Screamer.
Screamer. Oh,
And John, so Gary's here part-time, 20 hours a week or something like that?
16.
16 hours working in the store, and then some more just working
Monday,
on guitars.
Wednesday, Friday, Saturday in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Unless
I think that
somebody's
you're
sick
going.
or
You got
something.
some vacation time coming up too. So, but other than Sean Harris.
Oh, okay. I remember Sean.
Yeah.
Yes. You still in Portsmouth? And
Yeah.
yes.
Monday after 2, Friday after 2, Saturday after 2.
Yeah.
Try those days.
Yes.
Um,
Trying to remember. Sean used to build some guitars.
Yeah.
Sold a few of them.
Well, yeah. So Gary's part-time now here at the store because he's semi-retired.
Yeah. That's what I
Something
say.
like
Inching towards retirement.
Yeah, but you don't even want to retire. I think you secretly like fixing things.
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah.
can't stop myself.
Yeah, it's just like
If I have a day off, I get up in the morning and go,
just what needs to get fixed
what
around here.
time, do I have enough time to do that job?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the car. Oh,
And-
let's go out to the car and do that.
Luckily, you lived in a house previously. You lived in a house that needed to be constantly fixed.
Oh, yeah,
You
it
lived in a
was-
50s house,
It
right?
needed
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, so that every day you had a job to do.
Yeah, I kind of miss that. But I wouldn't want to do it again.
Yeah.
That was a 20-year commitment. And the new place is fine. But in the first year, I got it all fixed. Okay, now what do I do?
Yeah.
Hey, you want to change some faucets or something?
Yeah. So you're a compulsive fixer of things, which is great for the guitar world around here. I will have to remember to check the capo video Mark just did. I have an okay capo, but I'm sure there are better options.
Oh, I saw you did one, but I didn't.
Yeah. Because basically, I saw someone on stage suffering with a capo.
I mean, like, didn't know how to put it on and stuff.
Well, put it on, but not quite right. But the guitar was out of tune with the capo on, and then they didn't. So, just a synopsis of that is tune the guitar first, then put the capo on, and then fix the tuning. Because once you put the capo on, you change the intonation of the instrument. But since the capo is, and I don't know if I said this in the video well enough, the capo is a snag point, and the nut is a potential snag point. Somewhere the string will slowly pass over.
Friction.
So don't put your capo on too tight, and you got to retune with the capo on, and then you might be, but you got to tune it twice. You got to tune it without the capo and then with the capo, and put the capo on right, and maybe you'll be in tune. Or if your guitar has intonation problems, you're just gonna exacerbate them, and that's why people notice with a capo and not without.
That's how I've always judged capos, is how little they put your guitar out of tune when you put it on. They all do some, but
yeah. And then with the adjustable ones like the shub, you can over tighten it.
Oh yeah.
And some people do that. Like the tighter the better. No, it's really never gonna fall off.
Sometimes I put the shub on and it doesn't put it out of tune at all.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends on what fret or something, but I don't use a capo enough to be an expert. Ask Bob.
Bukovac uses that too. Capo is spot on. Your choice of best T, the letter T. Your choice of best capo. Gary likes Shub. I like the NS.
Yeah,
it's just kind of
I'm just used to the Shub. I've had one for 30.
Well, that's how I like to explain it. There's two capo videos. There's one in which I just explain which capos you can buy and why, and one in which I call the Shub your father's capo. It depends who I'm talking to. The Kaiser is your the 90s capo, and the NS is the 2000s capo, and the Ernie Ball is the new capo.
Right. The new Kaiser capo.
Yeah, they kind of improved version of the Kaiser, but some people insist on the Kaiser still. Well,
you get used to it.
About that.
You learn how to put it on just
whatever works. The Tom Bukovac adjustable.
I don't know that one.
Yeah.
What is
So,
Bob
so
just-
the thing about Bob, yeah, Bob just got a different kind of
the new
shove.
shove.
Yeah, but so here's the thing, Bob, you're a baby boomer. Bob's a baby boomer. Baby boomers like baby boomer stuff. The shove is the baby boomer capo. The Kaiser's the Generation X capo. The the NS is the Generation Millennial capo.
But we're the generation that for 20 years used awful capos,
Yeah,
strap
okay, yeah,
capos,
yeah,
funky capos with cork and other stuff.
yeah.
And that was a capo. So
You
you
had
made
to,
the
like,
most of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's
and
true.
then the
yeah.
shove came out and went, what?
Thank
Huh?
God, yeah.
It does, you don't have,
And the other thing is,
Amazing.
Bob is so good he doesn't have to be in tune,
well, yes, there's that.
so it doesn't matter so much.
But they got a new capo. I can't remember what it's called that he's kind of sold on
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, a new shove. It says this weird,
Pearl or
colorful, this
something?
colorful thing, and there's something behind it. We'll have to double check that.
It's probably just.
How about a pencil and a rubber band?
Yeah.
That was that was the old way of doing it.
A curved
I'm right on the line between Boomer and Gen X. Must be why I like either. Okay, so he likes the.
I just read this.
shove
Boomer
or the-
ends in 64.
date of birth. I think it depends who you
Yeah,
asked, but that's
saw
about
this.
right. Yeah.
I read an article
Yeah.
about the silliness of dividing humankind up into 4
Generations.
generations. You mean somebody born in 63 is a very different person than somebody born in 64?
65. I
Or
assume.
65.
But it's true because I'm an early Generation X, and my oldest brother would be still Generation. We're of that generation, but our parents weren't boomers. So we skipped a generation. Our father was Depression era.
Wow.
So then, anyways, that's a whole other thing. I like the overpriced G3 capos. Yes, if you like to pay too much for your
that's the other-
capo,
those are good. I saw those for a
that
while.
can be done. Yeah.
And they had a cheap one, the G3 Nashville or something that was
Yeah.
that was good too.
But
But they were $60 and the shove was $20. So I don't use it enough.
Dan Richards says, "Hi, hey Dan, how's it going?"
G3. No, it was G7.
G3. No, it says G3 here. G7 is the group of 7 nations.
Okay.
So
Politics and guitars.
Yeah, don't mix, yeah. When usually these days, let's see, how do I want to walk this line? When a baby boomer aged male comes into the store, so a 60-something guy, usually with a beard, usually has been playing guitar most of his life. Yeah, so
He
kind
could
of
still be, he's got one more year. Could
Okay.
be somebody 59.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
But they buy strings, and maybe they don't buy guitars. They already have the guitar, and they have it. And then tell a story about how they bought a Martin for $400 back in 1979.
Oh, 225
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so
Right.
they tell us that story because people work as Jake works here a lot. He's millennial, Emma's millennial, and so listening to the story about how everything used to be cheap just gets old sometimes. But yeah, baby boomers are very picky buyers. They'll look at that, they'll look at this great Martin and they'll be like, "Oh man, I'd love to have one of those." But I could have bought one for $400 and I didn't, so I'm not buying that one. And they're like, "Thank you, good night."
Well, it is pretty shocking how much things cost now.
It is, but guitars are still an exceptional value.
Oh, they always have been.
Yeah, $400 you can get a great guitar.
Like this one.
Yeah,
Not made out of wood.
Yeah, not made of that pesky wood that changes with humidity.
Right.
Eternal plastic, or was it Formica? Yeah. Okay, there's that topic. Let's see if the room has anything to say here. Any other questions or comments today, folks? Because I think we're out of our own topics.
Oh, we'll think of something.
Yeah, we always do. But help us out, folks, if you can. I came very unprepared today. I had a busy day, and I was just like, oh boy. But yes, the fact you can't find anything when you Google it, that's a problem of today. That everything in the store, we have to buy everything directly from the manufacturer now. These companies that used to be wholesalers in between middlemen, so to speak, that used to be the backbone of small stores because you can get a couple of pedals and a couple of capos and some. You can get an order together.
Pro 2 and a Washburn.
Yeah.
whatever
and
they
a
sold.
couple of pedals and whatever guitars they sold,
Some
and then,
drumsticks.
and then so you get $600 worth of stuff, and you'd sell it that week. But now it's impossible in the music retail business.
They're all gone now?
No, they're not gone. It's just I can't buy things from them if they cost too much money, because margins are shrunken.
Mm.
So if you have an electroharmonics pedal, I have to buy them directly from electroharmonics, and I have to buy them in large quantities to get the pricing
Right.
where I can compete at
Oh,
all.
so that's gotten worse. Yeah.
It has. So a good margin is 40% now, and most places want you to work on a 30%
Right.
or less margin.
Yeah.
That's
I
already
remember when that started.
yeah.
What was it? Boss pedals I never carried because unless you order by the gross, I forget which one it was. It cost me $89 plus shipping, and Guitar Center was selling a brand new for $99.
Yeah.
So
Shipping,
I'm
and then
gonna make
someone
$2.
not just that, someone pays with a card, so 3% goes
Oh, yeah,
to
then
the so
you lose money.
$3 goes to the credit card company, and you actually lose money
Right.
before you can sell it. So that is something that so I have to every day I come in, I got to order something from somebody because I got to order D'Addario from D'Addario and John Pern from John Pierce from John Pierce, and just everything has to come from the original manufacturer.
Right. But are you seeing more and more of the bulk pricing? That if you don't do the bulk pricing, you
don't get the best deal for sure. Because so basically, like, well, okay, if anyone's ever wondered about this, pedals. So if you get well, no, Dunlop's not a good example because they don't give a lot of price breaks, but Electro-Harmonics. If you've been on their site.
Oh, yeah.
If you buy the 12-piece price, you get like a significant break.
Right.
So that if we're selling a pedal for pedal street prices at $99 from Electro-Harmonics, if you just buy one from Electro-Harmonics, it's $72, $73.
Yeah, it's gonna make $20.
But you buy three, and then it's already $65.
Yeah. So yeah.
But you buy 12, and it's $55.
Ah.
And then it's like, ooh.
Right.
And so then people working in their garage selling stuff on eBay, they're like, okay, I'll buy 12 for $55. They don't have a store they have to, float, or
Right.
people they have to pay.
Right.
And they're like, I don't care if I only make $20 every time I sell one. So I'm going to sell them not for $99, but for $79.
Right.
And then this constant deflationary pressure gets put on stores, and people are like, I can buy this on Amazon for $79 because Amazon doesn't make money. If you never intend to pay for something, that's what I think about Guitar Center. If you never intend to pay for the thing you bought, then you can sell it for any price you want. If what Amazon sells is stocked in Amazon, that's their product. So as long as their stock price is soaring, they got plenty of money coming in.
Right.
They don't care what people pay for things. They want to show they don't really have to make money. I know they've become profitable in like year 10. I think they became profitable, but just barely. And there's a lot of companies out there that do that. I mean, Guitar Centers, what's the online Guitar Center brand there? Musician's Friend.
Oh.
Yeah. They can sell things for any price because
they don't care.
They don't care what because they need to sell more and more and more. Gary was correct. It's the third version of the G7 cable, not the G3.
G7.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it was G7 after Russia left the capo. Russia was kicked out of the capo. No, that's the G7 is the group of 7 nations. Sorry, I got confused again.
How about the Gang of Four?
Yeah. What do you think Fender pays for a Chinese Squire custom? Well, I know from the guy I knew at Fender. He kind of told me that a manufacturing company is looking for a markup of a really good manufacturing markup is about 30 to 40%. So if it costs you $200 to make it, then you can expect to get 30% more than that. Well, let's just say, just to make it easy, if you sell something for $100, you want to manufacture it for 66.
Right.
So I think they probably follow those rules also for their imported stuff, where they, buy the thing, then they have to have it shipped over and then stored and shipped, and So for the $199 bullet, I know those prices went up because they kind of had to. So they probably pay, I pay $132 for a Fender that sells for $199.
Right.
This is cards on the table time, folks. They probably pay,
Well, so
by the
does
time
everybody
they-
else pay that
yeah.
unless they're buying by the gross.
But well, no, the other, there's preferred pricing where you get an additional 5 or 10%
Right.
off. So not everybody, but that's the smaller store kind of thing, which is okay. I sell the guitar, it's okay. It's not, it's mostly a service. For that guitar, Fender probably paid $50 and then had to have it shipped here, and then has to market it and all this other costs associated with having that thing.
Right.
And so they have a 30 to 40% markup on whatever they paid. And that's kind of the way it goes in manufacturing. Manufacturing is a smaller markup than retail, but manufacturing, you make tens of thousands of things. In retail, you sell them one at a time. So it should be a better markup.
Well, way back in the olden days of salesmen coming to the door, you must remember John Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
This was mid-90s, probably. I had the store. I was buying Hondos from him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Hondo Telly came in at, I think it was $59.
Yeah.
So I said, John and I were pretty close.
Yeah.
So he'd answer my questions. I don't get it. How can I buy this guitar for $59?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I were to go to the cheapest place to buy guitar parts, that would get me the bridge, the pick guard, some strap buttons, and maybe a set of tuners, or maybe a neck and nothing else. Not an assembled guitar that actually works. He said, well, I was wondering that too, because I knew, you're paying $59. I knew where in Connecticut they were a whole importer.
Mm-hmm.
We were paying $39 from a guy in Los Angeles who actually gets them off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So I traced it back, $15. That's what it left the factory for. Well, everybody made money, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the good thing. And
So
I got to sell a
it's
perfectly good guitar for $99.
That was in the 90s, right? The early 90s, probably.
Yeah.
I was at the old store.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
so that was
John was gone by the time I opened.
early 90s.
They over here, I think.
He retired. I don't remember coming here 1 or 2 times, but yeah, that was about his retirement.
Oh.
Anyways, he was an old-fashioned salesman who'd show up once a month and really work you over, but get you some deals too, make things happen.
He
That's the
was,
good thing about
he
sales.
was working.
Yeah.
If he could make a sale by taking $10 off, that's
what
it
he
takes.
do. Yeah.
Or you buy 2 of these, and I'll give you that for half the regular price. Or as long as he made a few bucks, and I was happy.
But those days are over as well. Are the old Hondo Strats made with ash or pine? Mine weighs a ton.
That's my other great John Fitzpatrick quote. I forget, it wasn't Hondo, but a similar Asian guitar at the time.
Expensive.
And I said, John, do you know what kind of wood these are made out of? He said, well, we pulled out the catalog. I forget, it was Ari or something. All guitars made from genuine hardwood. It's genuine hardwood.
Hardwood, yeah.
Okay. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, I do know even on the Mexican made Fenders before the Player Series, like when they were the discount, when they made the Squires there, for example, they could have up to 5 pieces of wood that made up each body. So they would just kind of glue some wood together and cut the shape of a telly out of it, and that would be your guitar. So I wonder if they probably mixed species as well in certain guitars.
Well, there were basses in particular. They would, like there'd be a center strip of maple.
Yeah, that's true
and then
too.
some
For
bubinga,
stability,
and then something else over here. For different tonal properties.
Yeah. So back to the JJ's question about their cost on a classic vibe. So I was talking about the bullet for 9. So if it cost me $132, it cost them, $70 something and then so for a classic vibe, you just have to take that number and multiply it by 2, I suppose. So for 100, and they're doing it in such bulk, but they don't have that great a markup, because let's also consider that Fender's owned by private equity, so they're not publicly owned, but they're not like a rich company. They're not rolling in it. They're just getting by selling 100,000 guitars a year.
They're not manufacturing and selling COVID vaccines.
Yeah. So their margins are, they're not super tight, but they're enough so they have to raise their prices $30 to $50 once in a while. That's, That's kind of reflecting. It was kind of reflecting what the market will bear, but also kind of reflecting their costs and when container costs went up during the pandemic.
Right.
When the
You couldn't get a container to save your life.
container prices went up 5x. And so everyone, all the people like selling Austins, I could buy an Austin for $100 and sell for $200, and that was great. And then when the pandemic started, I was like, "Hey, get me some Austins." They're like, "Great, how many do you want for $100?" Now an Austin, it just ruined the pandemic container crisis. What not the cost of manufacturing, but the
Shipping.
Yeah, the shipping made everything go way up for those resellers, and so it just ruined the market on them. They're no longer a cheap guitar.
Oh, were they up to like $299,
Something like that.
$349?
I don't carry them anymore.
Right.
They used to be an exceptional value. An Austin bass for $199, great.
Yeah.
For $239, for $300, maybe you want to do the classic vibe for another $100. I don't know. So it's a tough one. Another great show. Oh, time to leave. Thanks for that reminder. It's 7:03.
It's supper time.
So you've done it again. You wasted another perfectly good hour watching Guitar Talk. Thanks for watching. Next week, I'm gone, so there will be no show next week. I should have said this earlier in the show, and more people here. But we'll see you in 2 weeks.
So March 1st.
March 1st, I'm gone. Then March 7th, I'm back. I mean, I'm back way before that, but we'll be back here in 2 weeks.
So the 8th will be my turn again.
Yeah, and then we'll work it out. The end of season 1 coming up with episode 100. Thanks for watching. Let's check us out on Instagram and all that. Hit the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll talk to you soon. Stand by for the end.
Ciao, ciao. As my granddaughter says.
And you're out.